I know people know him differently, but that's what I remember him with, very strict and very straightforward in everything he does. I also want to send my condolences on the loss of Honorable Oyioka and the people of Bonchari. And Honorable Nyachai, Mr. Speaker, didn't get a chance the last time when people were giving their condolences, and the people of Kisii in general for the loss. They've suffered a loss, great loss in the last few months. Mr. Speaker, I think one thing we need to know as a house, as a nation, that we are living in difficult times. I was in this matter time in Parliament, and even though we are not seeing it, it's very peculiar that we are burying so many members of Parliament, both in National Assembly and Senate, both present and past. We've never had a situation like this. It may be COVID, it may not be COVID, but Mr. Speaker, I think it's a call for us to remember that we are only here for a short time. And for the duration you are here, remember what people will remember you by. Whether you are hardworking or whether the only thing they remember you with is calling people tanga, calling people all those names that we call each other. But beyond that, Mr. Speaker, I think it's a really serious reminder for us to be serious for the short time we have here. And I think it's so serious that Honorable 001, Mr. Speaker, has noted by even changing his uniform. Today he's adorning a Kanu uniform. I think he's actually changing his demeanor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Member for Wajir South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to condole the departed soul of our senior citizen, a man who we always revere, Senator Haji, a man who has been an icon that we always looked up to. He was my immediate cousin and my first cousin. Unfortunately, it was the saddest moment for me and my family. And it really touches the heart of many of our people for the good he has done for himself, for the community, and for the country. So he was a man who took the country first and stood by what the country needs. He has been one of the icons that all the presidents that this country has seen have been related in terms of their work ethics. Senator Haji was above board in terms of ethics. He's a man who stood by his words, by his ground, and a man who has actually took leadership to the best that any leadership can be admired of. And truly speaking, we are sure that if every one of us felt that way, then it means that the calling of Allah to heaven is obvious. And I wish to advise everybody and request everybody, that is, to sincerely forgive if he has crossed any line with any or anybody. And that is where my plea stands on. And we want to revere his soul, to say that he stands in our hearts and up above there in heaven. Thank you very much.
Member for North Horn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me join my colleagues in really sending messages of condolences to the families of Senator Haji and our colleague John Olo. May God rest their soul in eternal peace and also give their family the courage, the wisdom to overcome this immense loss. Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Yusuf is a great leader of this nation, a very humble, religious, and a man of very high level of integrity. He served this nation as a public servant, in administration, as a cabinet minister, as a member of parliament, as a senator, and in many, many capacities. In particular, I really want to honor him and remember him for the great work he did for us in Marsabit County. In 2013, we had a major crisis in that part of the country. He was a key mediator appointed by the president, the Honorable Caparo, the former speaker of this house. And through their efforts, we were able to have some peace in that region for some times. Mr. Speaker, sir, he was a honest broker, very dignified in how we handled everything. And more than that, Mr. Speaker, sir, is a man who was God-fearing. May God rest his soul in eternal peace.
Commissioner Momanyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. for giving me this chance also to join the rest of my colleagues in condoling with the families of the two great Kenyans that we lost yesterday. Indeed, as my colleagues have said, yesterday was a very unfortunate day for our country. As yesterday morning we lost Senator Yusuf Haji, a man that we really respected, not only in the country, but also internationally. Mr. Speaker, as most of my colleagues have said, we know we have a program in the country now known as PBI, which was being headed by Mr. Yusuf Haji, Mr. Speaker, and we believe, as my colleagues have said, in honor of the late senator, we should, all of us as a team, pass the document so that we respect the senator. And as some of my colleagues have said, we single out the former leader of majority to lead in this process in honor of the senator who really mentored in politics, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as Mr. Mheshimiwa Honorable Tong said, as the Kisii community, Mr. Speaker, we've gone through serious loss, Mr. Speaker, this in about 3 months, Mr. Speaker. We lost Honorable Oyioka, Mr. Speaker. We lost him yesterday evening. He was a good man. We all knew him. He was a very humble Kenyan. And Mr. Speaker, we wish that their soul rest in peace, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Member from where?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to join my colleagues in condoling with the families of the two great men who left us yesterday, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, yesterday was really a sad moment for this country, and I think as Parliament, in the recent past, we have lost a number of our colleagues, and it's a high time, Honorable Speaker, that we probably organize some prayers so that this spirit does not come to us again, Mr. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Senator Yusuf Haji interacted with me quite a lot in my previous engagement, especially in looking for peace in this region. And I know many may not know that part of the reason why we have peace in this country is because of the contributions of the great men, Haji, Senator Haji included, Honorable Speaker. And I have heard from a number of our colleagues, Honorable Speaker, who seem to truly believe in him and believe in what he wanted this country to be. Simply a tribalist country where people enjoyed what we have been given by the Almighty God freely and without feeling discriminated. Honorable Speaker, it's for that reason that I also want to urge our colleagues to live to their words. If they believed in Senator Haji and what he believed in, to also believe in him in spirit and continue with the good work that he started. It's unfortunate that we could be talking about how we believe in him, and yet some of us are there fighting the efforts to unite this country, efforts to bring this country into a lovely country where we all love each other.
Member for Mvita.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Kwanza kwa niaba yangu, niaba ya wanamvita, ningetaka kutoa pole kwa familia na jamii ya Oyioka ambaye alikuwa ni mbunge wa Bonchari, na marehemu Muhammad Yusuf Haji ambaye alikuwa ni senator wetu. Ningependa kutoa kibinafsi kwa wanaye Abdul na Nurdin. Bwana Spika, mengi yameweza kuzungumzwa katika jumba hili, lakini kuna mafunzo ambayo kwamba vifo hivi vinafaa kutufunza sisi. Kwanza, hamna ambaye ana mkataba na Mwenyezi Mungu ya lini ataenda mbele ya haki. Haya mambo ya watu kujigamba ya kuwa mwaka 2022, ikiwa kuna lolote mwanasiasa nafaa kujifunza na vifo hivi, ni kwa yoyote anaweza kwenda mbele ya haki wakati wowote, Bwana Spika. Pili, mkumbuko ya kuwa leo tunazungumza wenzetu walioenda mbele ya haki. Kesho mimi na mmoja hapa atakayokuwa hapa na wengine wote watakaokuwa hapa, wataenda mbele ya haki. Swali ni tutakumbukwa na yapi ambayo tuliweza kuyatendea kwa watu wetu. Tusiwe ni wenye kujigamba, lakini tujue ya kuwa binadamu akienda mbele ya haki hukumbukwa kwa yale ambayo kwamba aliweza kuyafanya. Na mwishowe, Bwana Spika, mauti kidini ya Uislamu hamna ya kuwa ni hadhi, hamna ambaye kwamba anasema ya kuwa mwenye fedha zaidi ama mwenye kuwa anajulikana zaidi. Unafariki alfajiri, ikifika dhuhuri ama alasiri uko chini ya mchanga.
Member for Elders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join other members of Parliament in sending my condolences to the people of Bonchari and the great people of Garissa for the loss of two great leaders. Mr. Speaker, I first interacted with the Honorable Haji as a deputy PC, then later on as a PC, and later on as a nominated MP, later on as an MP, and later on, by the grace of God, he was the Minister for Defense, and I was the Chairman, Defense and Foreign Relations, and later on as an MP for Ijara, and currently, before his death, as the Senator for Garissa. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the history of Mheshimiwa Yusuf Haji, in particular a person who has served the colonial government, and in particular between 1963 and 1978, when the members of the Somali community actually had a lot of stereotypes, Mr. Speaker, serving in the government then was the most difficult thing. Mr. Haji demonstrated, used all his skills, demonstrated leadership, and survived, and indeed got promoted and became a DC at that particular time when it was very difficult to serve in the public administration at that particular time. You can imagine all the skills. He excelled in serving the colonial government, the Kenyatta government, the Moi government, the Kibaki government, the Uhuru government. That is a unique person. The only thing we need to appreciate, because he has demonstrated resilience, he has demonstrated progressiveness, because as much as at that particular time education was very difficult, if you contextualize all his thinking and the thing that he did, are some of the things that actually any modern person will yearn for. The best we can do to remember him is to apply the same skills that he has applied so that our country remains united, and I want to join the other colleagues who have asked for this. For the sake of Honorable Haji, and Mr. Speaker, as one of the leaders, I want to promise we will do whatever possible to make sure the people of Northern Kenya, in particular, pass PBI in honor of the Honorable Haji. And I want to appeal to all the others, because really it's just easy to say.
Member for Muhoroni.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the consideration. On behalf of the people of Moroni constituency, I would want to pass our condolences to the family of the late Senator Yusuf Haji. I would want to inform this House that Yusuf Haji was the first district officer at the inception of my sub-county when it was carved out of the larger Nyando division. And for Oyioka, we share many things. I and Oyioka will go in record as having come to this parliament via a political party called PDP. And I knew him as a very humble man. May God rest their souls in eternal peace. Thank you.
Member for Marakwet West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of myself, my family, and the great people of Marakwet West, I want to take this opportunity to give my condolences to the family of Senator Yusuf Haji, who was our BC in Rift Valley for a long time. When we were in school, every evening, 7 p.m. when we watch news, we see Senator Yusuf Haji and His Excellency Daniel Toroitich Ramoy in news for like 15 or 20 minutes every evening. Honorable Haji worked very hard for this country, and he did over 50 years in the civil service. 2016, I had the opportunity to go with him to accompany the Deputy President to Turkey, and we stayed for a whole week together, went out for shopping. Honorable Speaker, it is sad that we've lost him. Honorable Oyioka. Oyioka, we served in the same committee in the last parliament, energy and ICT, for a short time, because he just served like for a month or so or two, and then he lost his seat. May the Almighty Lord rest their souls in eternal peace.
Member from Mbeere South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to those of my colleagues to convey my condolences to those of people of Mbeere South for the death of honorable member for Bonchari, and Yusuf Haji. I would like to make a remark about Yusuf Haji. I did interact with him when I served as at the National Security Advisory Committee, and I came to know him as a man who cherished the truth. He was always seeking to know the truth. He was always insisting that the truth should be spoken, and if there's an issue, to be carefully examined and resolved. And therefore, I feel that this country has lost a great man, and for those of us who are left behind, this is a good example for us to follow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Emurua Dikir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to remember the three great men we lost in the last 1 week, Mr. Speaker. Last time I talked about the great PC, the great Chief Secretary, Mheshimiwa Nyachae. Mr. Speaker, I forgot only to mention that he paid my fees of 300,000 when I was going abroad, Mr. Nyachae. I was not related to him. I had no serious connection with him, but he felt that I should be given a chance like any other person from poor families. And I will forever be grateful. As for PC, Senator Yusuf Haji, he was the greatest PC ever in Rift Valley. Mr. Speaker, remember, Rift Valley is a cosmopolitan province. Rift Valley has had several issues, ranging from land issues to clashes and all those. And Yusuf Haji actually stood firm. He was a very firm administrator. He's the only person who has ever brought Rift Valley under one roof, and I think he's the only person who administered peace in Rift Valley. I've always tried to talk to the regional commissioner who is sitting there now to always emulate that PC. He came from a small community, but he never looked down upon other communities. He knew how communities lived in Rift Valley and how they will stay together in peace. There were so many issues, including even evictions, which were done in the mall at his time, but he handled them with a lot of respect, unlike what we see nowadays. Mr. Speaker.
Member for Wajir East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to give my condolences to these great men who have lost their life in the last 1 week. Honorable Speaker, I remember Honorable Nyachae for one great thing he has done for Kenya. He has been an icon in terms of the civil service. And when he was the head of civil service, one thing he will be remembered for is what he has generated as a district focus for rural development. The district focus for rural development, the blueprint, was done by Honorable Nyachae. Then that is the precursor. That is the genesis of devolution, which you see today. The district focus for rural development has been instrumental in the development of Kenya. Honorable Haji, whom I've interacted with very well as working in his constituency in the year 2000, 2002, in Ijara constituency, the sub-county of Ijara, as in charge of agriculture and livestock development. That is one time I worked very close to Honorable Haji, and he was instrumental equally in the development of Northern Kenya. He was a very humble man. He is a man who has never misused his position as head of provincial administration. He has never misused. He has never shown his wealth. He was a wealthy, great man, intellectual man, who has never misused and who has not transgressed into the right of Kenyans while serving as a provincial administration or serving as a minister in the Republic of Kenya. Is one man who will be remembered for not speaking loudly, but somebody who has been instrumental, insightful, and courageous man. He was a very courageous man, and he always spoke the truth. Is one thing that we'll be able to remember him for. One other thing we'll be able to remember him for is his contribution towards the peace initiative and the creation of Jubaland.
Member for Kitui South.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of myself, my family, and the people of Kitui South, I would like to take this opportunity also to join my colleagues in paying tribute to the fallen colleagues, the Honorable Member from Bonchari, Honorable Oro, and also the late Honorable Yusuf Haji. Honorable Speaker, I would like to say